Well, we asked.
There was no ill intent
It's 10:30, so we'll proceed with the commission meeting for February 21st, 2019. I want to welcome everybody here. I would like to ask Commissioner Elliott to provide the invocation and Commissioner Copeland to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand, please.
Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless this meeting and provide your guidance. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of the city of Brunswick and Glynn County. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect this community. Continue to remind us that all we do here, all we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you and the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll proceed with the public comment period. We have one resident who would like to make a comment, Mrs. Billings. If you'd please come to the podium.
My name is Renee Billings, and I live at 1003 Johnson Street. I have been struggling and trying to pay my water bill, and it's sky high. I have children that's in the home, and I'm disabled. And I've been trying to make the payments. Instead of me trying to make the payments with my disability, I pay $325 a month for my mortgage, and still trying to keep the lights and stuff on. And I've been working, but then now I got to pay Social Security back for me working, trying to make ends meet. And what they asking me for, I couldn't pay it because I'm on a disability. And now my water's been off for 2 months, and I've been toting water from my aunt's house just for me and my kids to survive, and for me to be a mother, to cook and to clean for them. And it's hard. I've been under the payment plan, but it's too high for me, plus with light bill and mortgage too.
Are you able to pay your current bill?
I won't be able to pay my current bill until next week if I can. But like I say, with this bill being so high, then they're talking about taking it to the credit place, it's still going to be years before I even get water. I'm not trying to put it in nobody else's name, because this is my house, and this is my problem. So I'm a woman enough to face my problems and deal with my problem instead of, me putting it in somebody else's name just for my family to have water. And I'll come here to stand up for my responsibility, because I am a mother.
Mr. Chairman, did I respond briefly?
Yes.
We were in conversation this morning with Commissioner Stevens about this very topic and the need to see what we could do to add more flexibility to our payment program. And we're going to be, as a matter of fact, based on the conversation we had and some of the things, topics and ways we came about to adjust what we're doing, we're going to be working this afternoon to try to come up with a program that will facilitate Ms. Billings and others in her situation to quickly get back into their into an affordable, doable payment plan that will allow them to maintain service without being stressed out, which I can see you very much are. But we're going to be, my apologies to Mr. Stevens, but we're not going to make it to the groundbreaking. We're going to work on this today and get some kind of resolution, we hope, out today.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I briefly speak on this? I'm sorry I wasn't able to be at the meeting you had this morning due to other obligations, because I would have spoke up as well. I've been on this email traffic about this as well, and this young lady called me, and she probably called several others too, about her situation and what we're trying to do. And as I spoke in our planning meeting about, we need to have a professional image in our community, and also be looked at as not being someone who is like an adversarial position, which we are now perceived that way, that we are trying to do some things only because of our practices that we have put in place. And one thing I would like to speak about is our customer service. Our customer service really stinks. How we deal with people who have situations. When we tell our people, that's not my problem, or I don't care, you figure it out. That's no way of dealing with people.
I'd like to know
Now
who
you
said
can say, you know, that we don't do that or not, but if you hear it one time, you say, well, maybe it's something. You hear it twice, you say, well, maybe something really is happening. But when you constantly hear it, then it really is happening. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's not an elephant. It's something that's there that we need to deal with.
Let's,
Okay, I won't get on the long dissertation, but I'm really upset about how we deal with our customers.
yeah. And I think we have a communications committee, and we also have a finance committee. And like Mr. Jenkins said, we're gonna be looking at this today to see if we can amend the policy. It's something that we need to do. We want our customers that are paying their bill, even though they're in arrears, to make sure they have water as long as they're current. It appears that you want to be current with your bill, and we appreciate you wanting to take responsibility. And that's key, and that's an admirable trait, and we appreciate you coming in your comments. And I want to let you know that every one of the commissioners are aware of the situation, and something is going to be changed as soon as we can get together and formulate the new policy.
Chairman. I just want to echo what the chairman just said. It takes a lot of courage to come down and stand before all these people and state your case. I think you did it very well, and I think there's a genuine consensus here that we're going to try to figure out something that will work for not only you but others in your condition. So thank you so much for coming down this morning.
All right. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
too.
Okay, now that we have the employee recognition.
I don't know how to give me stop. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I like how you give me the transition. That's pretty good. How are you? Dalton. Okay. Smith. Okay. As always, I enjoy doing this because it really shows how our employees are coming up and becoming certified to work here at JWSC, and also how they do things for our community is really, really a good thing. This is for Mr. Dalton Levi Smith, who has this water distribution operator license. And his supervisor, Derek, and this is Barnhart too as well here at Teamwork Services. It says the Georgia State Board of Examiners for Certification of Water and Wastewater Treatment Plant Operators and Laboratory Analysts recognizes the following Joint Water and Sewer Commission employee: Mr. Dalton Levi Smith as a water distribution operator. He is now permitted to practice as a water distribution operator in the state of Georgia and entitled to all the privileges allowed under the Registration Act of Georgia. Sir, thank you for being diligent enough to get certified, and also we look for great things for you. And knowing I always say this is a great organization and the sky's the limit. Do a good job and you will move up in this organization. Okay? So thank you so very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We always appreciate seeing our employees get new certificates.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We need to amend the agenda. Can I have a motion to amend the agenda as it's listed here?
Wait a minute.
What are we doing?
We just need to amend the agenda to what it is right here.
Okay. I move that we amend the agenda to
Remove the discussion.
remove the discussion item on our cutoff policy and payment plans.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Passes 6-1. Committee updates. On the facilities committee met yesterday, and I'll give a brief update. First off, Ms. Pam Thompson came from the Glynn County and gave a presentation on the growth patterns in the county. There's a map over there on the wall that she presented to us. Basically, about 120 new homes are being permitted on St. Simon's and about 240 per year on the mainland, with about 1/3 of those in the south mainland and the rest of them in the north mainland. And her comment was that Glynn County is growing now pre-2008 recession, which is good news. And we as a commission just need to make sure that we have sewer service to those areas to meet this growth that's coming to Glynn County. Also, the commission is aware that we have applied for a GFA loan for improvements to the Academy Creek and Dunbar Creek water pollution control plants. And prior to that, we're going to be selecting an engineering firm for that. The RFP has been prepared by the staff, and we expect to receive responses by April 9th. The award of the loan from GFA should come sometime in May. At that time, the board will be presented with a approval where we would have to approve the loan documents with GFA for those improvements. The smoke testing and dye testing study, we've received the proposals for those, and we'll be acting on those in a few minutes. The North Mainland RFP for phases 2 and 3. The proposals are due on that February 27th, so we anticipate hopefully being able to make an award at the March meeting. The Woodlock Avenue Interceptor video that's currently being finished, a presentation was made on that, and we have very good news on that. We thought that 30-inch concrete line would be in bad shape, and we might have to reline the entire line. It appears that we won't have to reline very little of it, if any of it. We will have to rehab all of the manholes, which we probably anticipated that anyway, and we might have to do some pressure grouting. But that will obviously save us some money on the phase 2 and phase 3 of the SPLOST project, which was very good news to hear that. On the sewer expansion study that we authorized to get an RFP out, the staff has prepared that, and we should receive the responses by March 27th. And I think that's going to be a 90-day period for them to complete that report. On that sewer expansion, some of those areas presently do not have water either, so the staff has recommended, and we concur, the committee concurred, that we also look at providing water in those areas. On the water meter replacement considerations, members of the committee and also the finance committee have met with Georgia Power, and that's an ongoing thing. We've not come to a final conclusion yet, and we'd like to, hopefully we can present that fairly soon for approval from the commission. Waste flow allocations have been re-requested because they expire the end of April for a possible North Mainland treatment plant for those areas. And this is being done just to keep that active. It's not saying that we're going to build a North Mainland plant, but it does allow us to know what discharge permit would be required if a North Mainland plant is completed. We were presented with current maps that show the areas without water and sewer. They're over to the audience's right, and we will keep those available. And it's something that we're going to overlay the growth patterns that Ms. Thompson gave us onto those, so then we can decide what areas do not have sewer and what areas we need to start planning to extend our sewer lines and sewer service to, and water service. The master plan asset scorecard that we discussed at the retreat was updated by 8 staff members. They rated the things. It's kind of it's A, B, C, D, and everything, so everybody has their own opinions. But everything at least scored a D and above. Some of the older facilities did have D averages, but those are the ones that we're going to be spending money on by upgrading the Academy Creek plant and the Dunbar Creek plant, and also the St. Simons sewer system. So far as the SPLOST funds on the project report, the only main thing there is Frederica Road is being repaid by the county. And so that's going to, prior to doing that, we need to make 2 crossings, or 2 crossings, I think it's C-Palms, and those will be made by open cut, and we'll have a contractor doing that, and that's going to be done in the next month, I think. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Yes, sir.
The plant flows, we received a good report on that for January. The Academy Creek plant had 95% removal, the Dunbar Creek plant 96% removal, and the Southport plant 96% removal. Those are well above the 85% required by the EPD permit. The Academy Creek plant is operating at 60% of its capacity, hydraulic capacity. The Dunbar Creek at 73%, and the Southport is probably at 20%. So we have capacity in all 3 plants, so that's why we want to hopefully be able to extend sewer service to some of these areas that presently aren't sewered. And I want to commend our operating staff for operating the plants well within permit. If you look at the monthly reports, we might have 1 hiccup a year or something at each plant. So those fellows do a really good job, those ladies and gentlemen. And we just need to really appreciate the work that they do. And I want to encourage each of the commissioners sometime to go visit the plants. They're good. They're the biggest investment we made in this community. And the city of Brunswick made a big investment for the Academy Creek, and the county made a big one for Dunbar and the South Mainland plants. And I think the staff would appreciate, commissioners, if you ever have time to go visit the plant. And that's my report. Now we'll move to the Finance Committee. Commissioner Copeland.
The Finance Committee met on Tuesday, February 12th at 10 a.m. here in the Commission Room. We had a full agenda. We discussed KPIs, disaster reimbursements, meter reading vehicle replacement, cost savings that the staff is anticipating, they're evaluating, investment performance, financial reporting to the Commission. We discussed the 2020 fiscal year budgeting status, which is underway. We discussed the committee calendar, and we also had some discussion on tap fees. There are, and I'm not going to go through the list, but there are a number of areas where the staff is evaluating savings, and they're anticipating savings, and it looks promising, and there will be more on that to come. I have a list of action items from that meeting, which I'm not going through now, but I'll get that published for us here and then, well, I've got my list right here. I suppose I could give it to Janice and she could get it out to the committee. I'm looking for the next meeting to be planned for Friday, March the 8th. And I think is that 11 or 10 that we decided that would work for?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock on Friday.
You're gonna be missing some people.
Yeah, we're aware of that.
It can be at 10, and we'll do that over at 9.
Don't want to move it to Monday?
No, I don't. I won't be able to attend it Monday. We'll miss people then. The financial report portion, you should have 6 sheets in your financial packet, in your booklet.
In the pocket to the left.
In the pocket to the left, okay. And you should be accustomed to looking at these. They basically have the same story that we've been looking at all along, and that's that our current position is very strong. The commission, the financial team has done a great job of keeping us solid as a commission up to this point, and the commission members. We are currently solid. One of the items that we discussed in the meeting that we needed was that we discovered that the net revenue, there wasn't really a policy that we had to dictate the disposal of the net revenue at year end. What would happen to that? We would want something to stay in cash. If we have excess, we want something to stay in cash, and we want to move the balance into reserves one way or the other. In addition to that lack of a procedure, well, what we've done is we've asked that a procedure be put together that determines what the disposition would be of those net funds, and including in that procedure would be a definition of each of the reserves and also the basis for each reserve, so that we understand what the totals, what money should be in each reserve, and then how those will be handled and refunded and replenished or drawn down. As I said, our position is strong. The one thing that I would apprise the commissioners of is that we're strong today. We're strong today, and as we look at these projects, and you have to dig through these numbers to see it, but when you look at all those projects and you look at these are committed funds. When you look at all those funds after they're committed and after they're already committed and after they're spent, a large portion of our reserves are gone. A significant amount of money. And you'll see one number over here, one reserve would be capital improvement fund reserves. It's forecasted to be at $654,000, just based on the committed projects. So and today it's at $5.2 million, but those monies are going to flow out, and we're going to have $650,000 in capital improvement fees in our reserves, and we need to be very careful about how we spend our funds now in the future. Whenever we have a project that comes to this committee or comes to this commission for approval, we need to have an answer to a couple of questions, and those would be around money. Where are the funds going to come to? Have those funds been budgeted? And if not, where are they going to come from? What's the timing of the expenditures for the project? And also, when we vote for a project, we want to know what's the total amount of dollars that we expect this project to cost before we vote for it or against it. And that way we know what's going to be happening to these funds. We're going to have to, in the future, be thinking about how we're going to replenish these reserves. And that's what I have for the committee report.
That's a good report, Commissioner Copeland, thank you. I want to take a moment out, there's a couple of things I forgot on the Facilities Committee. We also had 3 approval items, the Wade Journey unsolicited proposal application, property insurance renewal, and the USGS contract for 2019 data collection. We went over those, and the committee members voted unanimously for those, so we'll be presenting those for approval later on in our meeting. And also, as it relates to what Commissioner Copeland said on the improvements to the Academy Creek and Dunbar Creek, in talking about those, is going to be bid out. Those are going to be big projects, but we're going to have them so we do have deductive alternates. Just like on the Splash 2 and 3, we're going to have deductive alternates, so we can make sure that we get the project within the available funds that we have for it. Do any of the other committee members, committee chairman have any?
No, sir, we did not meet. Legislative committee did not meet.
Any others? Okay, let's move on to the approval section. Minutes from the February 7th, 2019 meeting. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept, sir. Very good minutes, and thank you for your appointments to these committees too as well.
Is there a second?
Second, please.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Passes 6-0. The minutes from the February 7th, 2019 executive session.
I move to approve the meeting minutes from February 7th, 2019 of the executive session.
There's a motion to
Second.
approve, second. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Property and vehicle insurance renewal. Mr. Fred McGinney is here if we have any questions. He made a good presentation to us yesterday. And basically, we have good news. The liability package is actually going to cost less than what it did last year, which is about, goes down from $98,784 to $98,146. And on the property, since the values have not been increased since 2015, they recommended that we increase the values, the property values 3%. So the premium, even though the premium should have gone up 3% just for inflation, the insurance company agreed to hold that with no rate increase except for a 3% increase because of the increase in property values. So the committee has voted to approve that, and what I'd like to do is have a motion so we can get this on the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission accept the proposal from Guard Insurance for BGJWSC's various liability insurance policies for the 2019 and 2019 and the 2020 coverage period in the amount of $98,146, and the property insurance policy renewal from Ace American for the 2019 to 2020 coverage period in the amount of $199,186.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Everybody ready to vote? All in favor, raise by indicating your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Ms. McGinn. Next is a Wade Journey unsolicited proposal application. This was presented to us. This Wade Journey is proposing, I think, 44 units that would be tied into the Bergen Woods project, and it's going to increase and require the need to increase pump station 4015, I think it is. But anyway, it was presented to us, and the Facilities Committee approved that for presentation today. Basically, there's a lot of growth in that area. Some more hotels and everything, and of course the Bergen Woods. And this is going to be a fast moving project. And so I'd like to request a motion to accept the unsolicited proposal.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission direct staff to process the Wade Journey Homes request to submit an unsolicited proposal to improve sewer capacity for the needs of the homes they propose to build in Saddlebrook subdivision.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Next is the CCTV Pump Station 4105, potential downstream pipe approval. Jimmy Junkin, can you make a presentation on that?
Real quickly, what this is, and this relates to the last item, Mr. Chairman. Basically, the most direct way and the most efficient way to get the added capacity for the Wade Journey Homes project is to go in and modify. We're going to have to modify the force main from 4105, which 4105 is basically with the project at Bergen Woods is going to max out the pumps we can put in there, and that project will basically just provide enough capacity for the Bergen Woods project. So the only alternatives left is to make a modification to the force main at the station. To do that, staff's come up with a what we call the Harry Patel option, which basically shortens the force main by about approximately half the full length, which provides additional capacity. And by shortening it, we'll reroute it to a new gravity line. Before we want to make that tie-in, before we make the final assessments, we want to CCTV those gravity lines to make sure they're in good shape, can receive the extra flows. We've gotten a quote from the Southeast Pipe folks to go in and hurriedly get that done, turned around for us so that we can get an answer back out to these folks, because they're in quite a bit of they're in needs to get going, and we want to make sure we do everything we can to expedite the response we give. So we're going to request today to execute an agreement with the Southeast Pipe folks per the quote that's attached here in the amount of $48,494.20 to conduct the CCTV inspections.
Okay. I have a question. The quote that I'm reading says $50,603.
That was another quote sent yesterday that the wrong one got attached.
So what's the amount?
The 48,000 is the right number. 48,494.20 is the right number.
That's the company who's doing the Whitlock Avenue.
That's correct.
So this would be a change order to their contract.
No, sir, this would be a separate.
Okay.
Right.
So is it 48 or 50?
48,000.
48,000. Jimmy, how many, out of curiosity, how many taps?
41 that are going to be part of their initial project. Now, with time, they're saying they want to do an additional 240 homes at that location. And as we discussed in the meeting yesterday, there's several other needs in the immediate area that we hope to be able to remedy some of that with this as well, or if not all of it.
Well, this comes under capital improvement, right?
Yes, sir. What we're going to need to do,
I mean, the line can be done under R&R. I mean, the line video, this.
well, we deemed it to be an expansion, so I wrote it up to come out of capital improvements reserve.
But I think Commissioner Elliott's right. Since it's looking at an existing line, we could use RR funds for it.
I agree.
That change would need to be made.
I was just going to point out, roughly 7,000 per tap, 49,000 you're looking at 7 taps to pay for that study.
That's right.
But
I'd like to
that-
see it come out of R&R.
Okay. That's, I'm not, I don't have a problem with that. We've got the funds. But it would modify the recommended motion by the changes you just stated.
Okay. I'm fine.
Can I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion, Chairman. I'll make the motion that the Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission approve work in the amount of $48,494.20 as per quote number Q190031 by Southeast Pipe to CCTV sewer gravity lines, which would receive the pump station 4105 force main flows. Also make a motion that this project be paid from the repair and replacement reserve funds.
Second.
Are there any other questions? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6 to
Mr.
0.
Chairman, I'd like to make another comment. We're going along with, you know, CC, looking at the line, which we need to do anyway, to see what the shape of it is, which is why I said the R&R should be the one that's appropriate for that. And then we're doing a unsolicited proposal for 41 homes. So they would pay for, if we accept the unsolicited proposal, they would pay for the shortening of the line, which would relieve us in our capital improvement fund of doing that. But we need to get real serious and look at whether we have the financial wherewithal to support another, would you say 200,000 or 200 homes?
240 homes, and there's multiple other needs out there. We haven't done the final analysis right, but we think this is going to free up a lot of capacity. It's going to be beyond just the needs of that first 41.
Okay. Well, I just, you know, want to say, we need to really look at this before we get into a situation where we're spending capital improvement funds, and
That we don't have.
that's right.
They're already committed.
That's correct.
Especially for unsolicited proposals. Especially for unsolicited proposals when they just might not do the project for 10 years.
Good point.
Hopefully this one moves pretty far.
I understand.
Thank you for the comments, Commissioner Elliott. The next item is the Smoke and Dye Testing Services, St. Simons Island District Award.
Would you like me to talk to it, Mr. Chairman?
This, on this project, you remember last year, McKim & Creed did a study for the II, and this is phase 2 of that, and the staff received a proposal. They received 2 bids. It's under your tab on item 6, and the staff who evaluated the bid, the proposals. McKim & Creed was the high-rated one with a score of 279. Gulf Coast Underground was the other bidder. The good news, too, is that McKim & Creed's proposal for it was for the amount of $119,656.15. That was less than what they estimated it would be when they presented the report last May. What I'd like to have is a motion for us to accept that, so then we can talk about this project. Do I hear a motion?
Also move.
I second.
Are there any questions? This is going to be smoke testing all of the sewer lines on St. Simons Island.
No,
It's
not
gonna be-
all- Not all of them.
Okay,
It's the ones that, when we did the flow monitoring, that had significant issues.
okay.
So prioritizing those places.
Approximately how much is St. Simons Island?
210,000 linear feet, there's
Okay.
150 miles of pipe on St. Simon's Island, so hang on just a second.
Can
a lot.
Can't do that one in my head.
I mean, the area, is it,
Like 15 days.
Like 15 basins. This,
Okay. Can we provide that information so that the people know where we're gonna do the smoke test at?
yes, and as part of the smoke testing protocol, door hangers will be put out 48 hours in advance of anybody's neighborhood being smoke tested. That's part of the contract.
After we do the smoke testing, what's our end game? What's our savings? What we looking for? What's, you know?
The smoke testing and dye testing is basically going to be defining where we've got problems with surface water getting into our systems.
Understand that, right.
As we identify where it's coming from, and history says most of the time it's going to come from the private assets, laterals coming from homes, buildings, those kind of things. Sometimes it's other things, old rotted roots that have found their way to our collectors, that kind of thing. The things that are on private property, we're going to look to the private property owners per the city or in the county ordinance, per the county ordinance to address those issues. We got to figure out exactly how we're going to approach that. We've got documentation and protocols, templates that we're going to be modifying to execute that. As far as the items that show up in our system, we'll be doing whatever spot repairs as we need to our collection lines to close up those gaps that extraneous things have caused, allowing surface water to get in. So we ought to see if we're able to get through it as quickly, and the big question is going to be how we deal with the private assets. I'm not sure how fast that's going to go.
Right.
Because it is a brand-new can of worms that is going to take some real thought and working with the community to make that work out.
A lot of what you'll find is just cleanout caps that have been taken off. So we can put those back on the minute we find them, and that'll take a decent chunk out of what we're going to find. Hopefully we don't find that there's more problems out there other than just basic stuff like that.
If we find somebody that's connected their gutters or that kind of thing to their sewer lateral, that's a quick fix too,
Right.
which
Okay.
happens.
Where will these funds come from, the $119,000?
R&R.
Yes, out of the
Out of
R&R.
R&R reserve?
That's exactly what, I'm sorry.
And what's the schedule for the work?
180
180 days.
contract. They're finishing up the project now. Hopefully we can get started in April, but no later than May 1 on the start date.
Once this is complete, we'll know if we are going to be able to have additional capacity in Dunbar Creek or whether we need to make long-term plans to expand Dunbar Creek. And so we'll have a real good feel as to the asset base that we have on St. Simon's Island once this study's done.
If, Commissioner Copeland, to your question, it's actually project 807 on the project list.
Oh, it's already on
It's
here.
already on there. It's a $150,000 budget.
I see. It's already
It's
budgeted.
already budgeted in those funds.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are
I
there,
was looking at that just then.
are there any other questions? We have a motion and a second. Everybody in favor? Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thought we had a vote.
Everybody in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. The USGS contract for 2019 data collection. This was presented to the Facilities Committee yesterday, and the USGS has developed a model for the saltwater intrusion. And we've been participating in that for a number of years. And now, since the model is complete, they just have to we have to do some sampling, to continue sampling to make sure that the model, and so we know where the salt water is moving, if it's moving, the saltwater plume. The USGS says the total cost of the model will be $120,000, and they will have a $160,000 grant to pay a portion of it, and they've asked the JWSC to contribute $60,000. This is substantially less than what we've done the past 2 or 3 years for preparing the model. A couple of the commissioners have said we still need to reach out to the large stakeholders in the county, Georgia Pacific and Panova in particular, to see if they would help participate. But even if they don't, we still need to move forward and get this sampling going. So it's the committee's recommendation that we do move ahead with that. And at this time, I'd like to open the floor for a motion for us to consider.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion, as I did yesterday, to move this forward. Make the motion that the Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission execute the agreement with the U.S. Department of Interior, USGS, to collect data for the year 2019 to monitor and track changes to the salt plume in the Floridian aquifer under the city of Brunswick.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions?
Didn't we participate at a higher level last year?
We did, and as the chairman explained, through last year's data sampling, they had a model more or less built last year. They used the data and went back and ground truth the model they had created using the data and the work they had. They had a final report that they've completed as of last year. It's going through the formalities, the USGS review approvals. It should be any time. I mean, I've been waiting for 3 or 4 months now for the public posting. They've given us what it looks like, but now that the modeling is done, the only thing left to do is really track the data and make sure that nothing does sneak up on us and nothing does change that deviates from what the expectations are.
Did we fund it at 120 last year?
129.
129. And so it'll be 60 this year.
Yep.
And did we budget for that?
Yes, sir, in my budget.
Okay.
Jimmy, I have a follow-on question. Understand the modeling has been built. We're collecting the data to confirm the modeling or to true it up.
And to track.
And to track the movement, and which would then move us to identifying a prediction or projection of what impact it would be. Is there information enough yet to provide a projection as to when it may be impactful to us?
Yes, sir. And in fact, the original model, with the conclusion of last year's data collection, looking at it, the report will probably come, when it comes out, will basically tell us that we go up or we go down significantly. One of the big users, and they really pointed the finger at the 2 industrial sites for the most part. If they were to have significant changes in either direction, the model predicts changes in the shape of the salt plume and possible movement. So with all that in mind, you know, we've got to stay on top of not only where things are, but where all of our users are in terms of the total draw they're making. You know, if, for example, one of the industries were to suddenly reduce their operating capacity a bunch, well, that could change things. So there is the model is very predictive in that regard, and it says that we do need to keep an eye on not only what's going on, but how much people are drawing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. Next item is the commissioner calendar. Under tab H, you have the proposed calendar. The only change is for the month of July and August. We've discussed this, of course, at last year's commission meeting, so we'd have commissioners could make a tentative schedule. And also, we discussed this at the retreat. The commission, the proposed calendar is shown. We'll move the July 4th meeting to July 11th. Then we'd also move the July 18th meeting to July 25th. And then we'd move to August 1st to August 8th and August 15th to August 22nd. Those are the only revisions. And I would like to move that the JWSC approve the 2019 commission calendar.
Second.
Any questions? No. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. Executive Director's update.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a lot. We did discuss briefly yesterday that as part of the ongoing work to make sure we align with community efforts elsewhere, we've worked through with the County Public Works Group, who are doing the paving or repaving out on Frederica, to go ahead and make a cut into Frederica to make a water main supply line that runs across Frederica into the Colonial Drive entrance of Sea Palms. That work's going to be conducted this coming week, Wednesday, Thursday at night?
Early to mid next week, yes, sir.
Okay, early to mid next week. So we're working through with them to get that done, and cooperation has been great on both sides. We've had real good team effort there between us and the County Public Works so far. One note that the GAWP Executive Forum that got canceled because of the weather here last month is going to be moved up to March 25th, so I'm going to try to attend that. The only other thing I've got on here, we're trying to get some information to Mr. Dormady to allow us to finalize a resolution between us and the county in an intergovernmental agreement to free up funds from the SPLOST 5 Holly Street project and basically use it to repair some other lines and upgrade some other lines there in Sea Palms as well on the sewer side. And that's my report.
Thank you. The Chairman's update, basically I mentioned the fact that we want to overlay the county's growth plan to our map and look at that. The only other thing is the standards. We're going to be reviewing our standards and getting back to update our standards. Do any other commissioners have any comments?
So I got one comment. This question, you say the county's growth plan, were there any projection for growth out in North Glen? I know they talked a little bit about.
They talked about what the growth will be out there. Now, we do not have population projections yet.
Okay.
Population projections are supposed to be due by May.
Okay. All right.
But that's one thing we want to look at.
Yes.
I think they said they're seeing 2 for every 1 permit from South Point versus North Mainland. So there's twice as many up in North Mainland right now.
Anybody attend the economic outlook on Jekyll they talked about?
I did. I got a
Did?
summary from it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there.
So they were talking about how this area is really beginning to pick up too as well. I know Camden is doing spaceport, so that's gonna increase a lot of things happening up here in Glynn County as well.
Except there's a lawsuit to stop it.
But I just want to know, okay, no problem, sir, we're good.
We just need to verify all that. Any other comments? I think we need to go in executive session for legal. Legal,
Litigation.
yes, possible.
Motion to go into executive
Yeah,
session?
you have to, yeah. We have to have
Second.
a motion. I move to go into executive session for a litigation matter.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
All right.
Executive session.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. We need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
When is your meeting?
We got our
When is your meeting? When is your meeting?